I joined because I just love being in a team where everybody kind of has the same likes and differences, because we all kind of are nerdy and like to game and have fun.
I believe in STEM. I think it's great for kids. It's hands-on. It teaches them how to problem solve.
I want to be a robotics engineer when I grow up, and I feel like this will give me a good thing to put on my college application, and B, will give me a good jump start on programming and building robots.
Hello world, Arcade Android here. I'd like to start off by saying I do not cover Android operating system. I do, however, cover console games and PC, retro, and modern. I cover games that are unknown, underrated, and forgotten. I love licensed games, and I hate licensed games. I cover food and drink. And he's got a weird obsession with janitors. There's no real rhyme or reason to which video I'm going to do next, so the best way to find out is to subscribe. I'm the Arcade Android, and I got way too many damn sweaters.
Hello, and welcome to Ladies of the Round Table. It's episode 45, Holes in My Sweater Weather, and today we have with us special guest, Arcade Android.
Hello.
Say hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we introduce the regular hosts.
Well, I'm a YouTube producer. I make videos about buried treasure type video games, pretty much hidden gems, games that people wouldn't normally go out and find. I cover licensed games and such. I do food and beer reviews, and that's on. I do youtube.com/arcadeandroid, and I also write some articles and produce my videos or publish my videos over at gamingrebellion.com. That's a website with like a lot of long form articles. It's a really cool place, and you can check me out on twitter.com/arcade_android.
That's awesome. And of course, today we have with us Carmen Travasta.
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
We have the lovely Kim.
Hey.
Nikki is back with us this week, and we're very happy to have her back.
Yay.
Hey guys, hi.
And of
Wherever
course,
she
we have
is.
Pixie. And I am Paige, age 6. Now, today we're really excited to have Arcade Android with us. I work with him over at Gaming Rebellion. He's awesome. One of my favorite YouTube personalities to follow. I was really happy to be working with him. I'm glad that he came on tonight. And we all are. Very glad to have you. And as you guys saw from his video, his intro, he covers a lot of things with a great dry sense of humor that a lot of us really enjoy. But so we have some questions for you, Aaron. Can you start by telling us a little bit about your history with gaming?
Well, I started off with, this is going to sound kind of boring, but I started off with the NES with Super Mario Bros. This is a good game. If you haven't checked it out, you should probably check it out. And yeah, I just kept collecting. I kept most of my systems throughout the years, had to sell some, but I've remained a gamer for most of my life. Love all types of games.
That's awesome.
And if you couldn't tell, I like arcade games especially.
Yeah. There's definitely a market for that, a niche market, and big following for it. Anybody else have any questions for Aaron?
I do. Aaron, I'd really like to know, I know that it says that you're a food and beer lover. But what other hobbies and interests that you have? What takes up your time?
Well, when I'm not eating food, I tend to I try to cook food and perfect different recipes. Um, I'm not too into cosplay, but I do like making outfits from time to time. I'll make like lots of props, just tiny little props, just for fun.
Sweet.
Do
Uh,
we have some pictures of that?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
awesome.
Holding out on us.
So my question is, what do you think makes the perfect gaming experience? And like, what advice do you offer to your followers that helps them to enhance what they get from any story or game or experience?
well, I do appreciate a good story, but I think to have the perfect gaming experience, you've got to have friends and share with people, even if it's just sharing like Pokemon. That may be a largely single player game, but sharing that with other people, the love of gaming is what makes it better for me. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down with a beer and a pizza and playing some Smash Brothers. That really enhances it for me.
That's pretty cool. Definitely the gaming community is what makes this hobby really special for a lot of us. What about you, Carmen?
Well, Aaron, I have a serious question for you, and somebody had to do it. It's a dirty job, but I have to ask you. You probably get this a lot. What inspired you to get up off the couch and become part of the industry versus just a bystander?
Well, I actually only started a couple of years ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, and it's because someone who really inspired me, they were doing that. They were bringing over Japanese games and showing that they're not all difficult to play, and he just made it seem really easy, and like he just cared so much. He wanted to spread his gaming with everyone and show that there's Japanese games that you can play. And I wanted to do that kind of for licensed games and games that people wouldn't normally give a chance. Not many other people were doing. I guess Hidden Gems is kind of a little niche, but not too many people were doing it.
So that's a good answer. Filling a void.
Very good.
Yeah.
But what was it about Hidden Gems that really spoke to you?
Everyone knows that Legend of Zelda is a good game. Pokemon, Mario, those are givens. And when a new game comes out, everyone's going to hear about whether it's good or bad. But no one ever hears about the old games that were really great and just forgotten. So I figured if no one's talking about them, I should.
That's true. Sorry, Nikki, it's up to you.
It's okay, thank you. So, what developer or game company inspires you? Like, in a way that which one of the developers inspire you the most?
I would probably say Volition Software. They're the makers of the Saints Row franchise. Just because you can do literally anything in that game. You can be who you want. You can customize your character. You can be a crime fighter. You can kind of be you can just do whatever you want. You can drive around, and it's not really. I guess it's not really moddable. Someone came along and made it really moddable, but that's probably my favorite, most inspiring developer.
So the open-ended type of game is like the one that you like the most right now?
Surprisingly not.
Okay.
Just the Saints Row struck a chord with me, but for the most part, I like platformers.
I thought so.
Yeah. Definitely. Why a janitor? You dress up like a janitor. As it is.
Fun fact. If you didn't know, chat. Fun fact.
I mean, that
Scrubs.
outfit, though.
Yeah, that's it's a lot simpler than you would think. Are you familiar with Scruffy from Futurama?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that character, and I thought if I didn't do IT, maybe I'd be a janitor.
Okay.
Not a bad profession, actually. They get paid for
So we seem to have some chat questions for you. So if you were to pick one game, which game have you loved the most, and which game have you loved the least?
The game that I love the most is actually Mark Echo's Getting Up content's under pressure, because I just thought it was going to be just... Actually, I didn't know you were going to ask me that. I just happened to have it sitting there. And it just seems like it's a game doomed to fail, and you put it in, and it's got platforming, it's got graffiti and art, and it's got music, and it just, out of nowhere, it's got a lot of features to it, and nobody has ever played this game that I know of and thought, oh, this is amazing, but they need to. And the game that I was probably most disappointed by is, I wouldn't say most disappointed, but The Lion King. If it's just so hard. It's needlessly hard for a child's game.
Which version are we talking about here? Because I remember the old Lion King for Sega.
Both of them, the Sega and the Super Nintendo. They're just... The Sega's slightly better graphics, I would say, but Super Nintendo slightly better sound, in my opinion. But they're both just brutal.
Yeah.
Nothing like rage quitting on the Lion King in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, the Lion King game
It's
gets to
a
be your maker.
circle of I hate this game. This is not the circle.
Mommy needs a timeout.
I ever played that.
There's some great chat questions, actually.
You're not, just skip over it. Don't play it.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
don't. Just don't.
It's okay. I won't
Kimmy,
be
you got
breaking out
another-
the NES.
Yeah, we have
Kim, you got
some
another
other
chat
questions.
question?
What game would you prefer to be the best game? What would you prefer to be the best game out there for people who love single player? So I guess which would you recommend for people who say that is the best game out there if they love single player games?
The best game, period?
I mean, take it however you will.
Okay.
I would say because you're looking for hidden gems. I think that that would be probably something that somebody who's played a lot of the mainstream single player games. What would you recommend that they get into?
Well, this one's not so much... it's starting to get a little bit of press, and some people may have heard of it, but Mirror's Edge is a 3D platformer, single player, and it's really fun. It does 3D platforming right. There's no, jump and guess. You know what you're doing. You run against the walls. You know you're going to run against the walls. It's not like push here and maybe I'll grab. And it's got a really good story.
Yeah, Mirror's Edge is fantastic.
Aegon says Ninja Gaiden was hard. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it was.
I didn't.
So we have another question from chat. What was the funniest moment or the most fun moment you've had since you started your channel?
The funniest moment or most fun moment? Probably when I recorded an episode and then realized I had the camera off.
Oh.
Fun
all
for
that
you.
footage.
It was funny afterwards.
Was the
Yeah, I was
episode
going to
better
say, I bet
after
it
you
wasn't
finally
funny
did it?
right then.
No.
Oh man, was it a better episode after you did the second time, or did you find yourself rushing through it?
A little bit. It's happened multiple times.
Aw.
Oh.
So
So
yes and
I have
no.
to ask, do you have any pets that may have been watching so at least you didn't feel like it was all in vain?
I've actually had some of my pets in my videos, and I think they help add to the interactiveness. I've had my cats be Wile or Sheep from the Wile E. Coyote series. I think it worked out all right.
Wile E.
So it-
Coyote.
It was all fun.
Super genius.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Any notable chat members out there today? Anybody really chatting it up?
Yeah, we've got a pretty active chat today. So of course we've got some of our regulars and our mods. We've got Aegon, who is our backstage producer, Mr. Producer Man. You're never gonna see him, but you will know he's here. You've got Jericho, and of course you've got all of us ladies in the show. And then so as far as our normal active viewers go, we've got Mal, we've got Dalen. It's nice to see you back, Dalen. We've got Cynical, we have Lethal Prime, who I have never seen here, so thank you for stopping
Lethal
by.
butt. Lethal butt. Yeah.
Lethal butt, wow.
Where's Pam?
I'm a little scared of this. We've got Cranberry and it's Frost. Please, just whatever you do.
That cranberry dough.
Don't let it go, please. It's too cold and I hate the snow. Thank you, It's Frost. I appreciate that.
Let it go.
Brad Cal, TT Saurus Rex. I'm incredibly jealous of that name, and
That's,
why is it not mine?
That's actually my girlfriend.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's
that's
a
all.
great name.
Good name.
Not bad.
Okay, so your girlfriend is now officially my girlfriend. Done. Job well done.
Whoa,
Thank
whoa,
you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
He's like, I'm not sharing.
We have Bat Monster, of course, Aquamaniac, Arcade Android, who is with us right now, and Muhammad. I'm really bad with numbers. 90,007, not 9,007. Whew. Man,
90,000.
those placements.
Where is Pink?
And Brad Cow, Pink's not in the chat. Sorry, not tonight. Frost has got some questions coming up again. And hey guys, if you haven't hit that follow button, please hit it while you're here. Earn that cred.
Frost asks, what is your favorite 1990 to 2010 animated character?
Wow, that's going way back.
Yeah, that's hard.
I know,
gotta think about it.
That's a lot of time.
Oh, man.
1990 to 2010.
I mean, Voltron is my favorite ever, but that doesn't fit that time frame technically because it originated before 1990. Just saying.
Does Goku count? 19, he was in that period?
Yeah,
Or Vegeta?
I think so.
So-
I
I
think
think Vegeta, I think
yeah,
they
that
were
came-
like 95. Isn't
Yeah, that sounds about right.
popularity.
Oh man, that's when they made Harley Quinn even. She came
What do you-
in
what
through
about
the
you,
Batman
Kim?
the Animated Series.
For best animated character?
In that
Oh.
time frame.
Well,
You were little.
Wow.
You were like
I wasn't
a munchkin
even born
then.
at the
What were you
beginning of that
watching?
time frame, so let's circle around.
Like,
let's have some other
Munchie
peeps.
cheese.
Peeps tell me. Let's see. Y'all tell
Dalen's got
me
a
what I
question.
think.
Yeah. What about
Yeah.
you, Nikki?
In that time period, let's see. I
Yeah.
was 1990. Let's see. Was I even looking at animation back then? No, I was working every day. I mean, the only thing I could say is like, I mean, back then everything it was like only a few years into The Simpsons, and everywhere you looked, it was Bart Simpson or, you know.
I mean, that's when
Um,
they had all the Batman the Animated Series shows.
Yeah, I would
It's
say
like,
Nightwing, but I was.
Huh?
It was a different time. My kids, I didn't have my kids until the mid '90s, and then it was like everything with them. So,
Yeah, that's true.
but I grew up with like the Thundercats, and I grew up with the Voltron, just like Shiv.
Nikki and I are
So
feeling it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's
Those were
going
the
a little bit
original
further back.
cartoons.
It's like you relearn all that after you have kids, and then you have like that secondary part of it, you know. Like
True.
Spider-Man was like my favorite growing up.
Spider-Man.
That was the cartoon that I always wanted to watch. So, and then Batman and
Yeah.
Well, they had a Spider-Man cartoon.
yeah,
you
they
know.
did. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
They did, yeah. Well, they had
That's-
another one in like the 90s around then.
No, I'm
too.
talking about when I grew up.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying he came back around. It'll count.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
There's
I don't know
Voltron
about
in
you
the next
guys.
loot
What's
crate?
I am.
What?
Yes, he is. I am all about that Captain Planet. Captain Planet
Oh,
is the
that
reason
Captain
for
Planet.
years that I didn't eat
Captain
meat
Planet.
and recycled like a hippie.
Oh wow.
my cousin loved Captain Planet, and Captain Planet drove me nuts. So it was always a fight in the living room over what we were gonna watch. And I always wanted to watch, like, I don't know, like Beast Wars or something like that. She always wanted to watch Captain Planet.
On a
Yeah.
serious note, I would be really mad if I was the kid that got heart. Like, how shysted did he get when it comes to powers?
You're like, yeah, heart
Yeah.
power.
Like, what do you do with that? So we're having some more chat questions come in for you, Aaron. So which game would you like to see turned into a movie or TV series?
Oh, that's a tough question because that's sometimes it's done well and usually it's not. Going back to Volition, I'd say Red Faction could make a good movie, and that's about some kind of peacekeepers or freedom fighters, if you want to call them that, on Mars, and they kind of slowly turn into terrorists. They become the enemy that they were trying to not become. But I mean, it's they were being oppressed. I think it would make a good movie.
We actually have a LORT Live question about for all of us from Stephen Wilds, who works with us actually at Gaming Rebellion too. I'm glad he's following along. He wants to know if any of us will be getting any of the Resident Evil remake on the 20th. My boyfriend's shaking his head yes.
I have to because we've watched all of them as a family, so we just have to. It's
no, the video game's coming out. They're remaking.
Yeah, I know. Well, we watched all the movies, so I have to get the video game to go with the collection, or it just won't be complete. There's just no doubt in my mind.
I have
one word: ambulatophobia. No, thank you.
I have a story
that
about
word.
Resident Evil. Actually, Resident Evil when I was a child was my game that I was petrified of. It was like my childhood fear was the first Resident Evil game. I actually was 23 when I beat my first Resident Evil game because I was so scared.
Some paranoia.
No, really, like I used to have pixelated zombies coming at me in the dark. Like it wasn't even like I had like a fear of like a real zombie. I was afraid of like the PlayStation graphic zombies coming at me when I was kid.
Oh no, I'm afraid of them all. Like all of them.
My mother buys me. She realizes I'm getting into gaming. I'm about my daughter's age at this time. I'm like 7 or 8. I'm a little older than her. My mother for Christmas buys me a PlayStation. And I'm really excited. I have my first console. I don't have to share it. And then I opened my first game, and she bought me Resident Evil because she knew that I was petrified of it.
I like your mom.
She's like, I'm like crying because I'm so happy, and then I'm crying because I'm scared. and I actually did try to play it. And I just stayed like in this one room before you go around the hallway, and the iconic scene where the zombie turns around over the shoulder. I was always so scared of that, so I just kept running around like the dining room and back up to that area, and I never got past that part of the game.
She never made it. She never finished the game. She was just too scared.
When I was 23, I got a 3DS for my birthday. A friend actually got it for me. My sister's boyfriend got it for me. And so I'm storming through all the 3DS games. I beat everything that was available at the time, except for Resident Evil 5, and Revelations came out. And I'm like, okay, I really have nothing to play, so I bought Revelations. And the first day that I turned it on, I'm like 23, 22 years old. And I turn it on, and I go through like the beginning of the game, and I'm just crying for like 2 days straight because I'm so scared. Game. And I'm like, I want to bring it back. But I ended up beating it with the sound off, and now it's actually my favorite 3DS game. It's really good. So
awesome. So I guess you're never gonna play Alien Isolation.
I will.
Okay.
You know what we did this morning?
We have to.
We don't have a PS4, but I watched the playable teaser today.
Awesome.
Silent Hill, and I can't.
Silent Hill, the old game.
Yeah, you know what? I played Silent Hill.
The thing that makes it...
Yeah, right? I did play Silent Hill when I was a kid.
Was it the predecessor? That was the predecessor to Resident Evil, wasn't it?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. I was so young at the time, I don't know which one came out first.
I think Silent Hill did.
The thing with Alien Isolation is, like, you get terrified, and I don't know about you guys who know this, but, like, if you play it on Xbox One, it picks up sound all around you. So, like, you're listening to this game and you're terrified, and then, like, you notice that you're starting to breathe heavy, and it makes everything attracted to you, which only makes the game much more scary.
Oh my god. That's got to be awesome.
You know, I can't you know what? I was watching. I couldn't even watch a playthrough of it. I was just like, nope, nope. Like, no. But then and then you get to the end and you find out that like that stinky guy from Walking Dead is like a motion captured actor, and then it ruined it for me. So I don't even think I'm gonna be scared of it now, knowing that it's him. But that's another hot topic for another day. And speaking of hot topics, we should probably get on to our first hot topic because we have some interesting ones today. Pixie, you were gonna follow up with the French cartoonist.
Yeah, so I'm gonna follow up with the shooting at Charlie Hebdo. For those of you who don't remember, I talked about it last week. Terrorist shooting at the offices of Charlie Hebdo. Like 12 people were killed in France. Charlie Hebdo, for those who don't remember, does not political cartoons, but they make cartoons that picture Muhammad. For those of you who don't know, in the Islamic religion, there is no ideology of the Prophet Muhammad, and so it was really a big deal. The attack has officially been claimed by Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula. So the AQAP and the Pope actually spoke about it, and he said that, you know, freedom of speech and expression are fundamental human rights, but he added that he believes there should be limits to offending and ridiculing the faith and beliefs of others. He even actually is quoted as saying, if my good friend Dr. Gaspari says a curse word against my mother, he can expect a punch. And then the Pope proceeded to fake punch the air. He does not agree that, like, the attack was justified. He says it's still a travesty. But he does, in fact, you know, believe that there are limits to freedom of expression and where that can take you. People in France are standing behind Charlie Hebdo pretty decently. Their sales typically in a month are like 50,000 prior to the attack. Within the first couple of hours, I think they sold like 200,000 copies, and they actually ran like 5 million copies to print, I believe, somewhere within those numbers. So it's just kind of interesting, and it's definitely interesting that it's been claimed by Al-Qaeda. What do you guys think?
I think I'm still wondering why we care what the Pope says. But not to offend you, Pixie. I understand why you brought it up, but I'm just still curious why he's a relevant figure.
Because he's the head of the Catholic Church.
Oh no, I get it.
And
I
that's
just don't
it.
get it.
But that's it. He's the head of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So some people believe, some people don't. So that's why he's a figurehead, because he's the head of their church. So
yeah.
We'd be just as bad. Well, we'd be just as bad as them picking on that, right?
To have a religious figure standing up and saying that he thinks there should be limits in what you could say about somebody's religion.
Well, they limit.
You know,
there's a lot of limitations in the Catholic religion, right?
Well, yeah. That's
Are you? What about Baptist, Southern Baptist, right? What about? So there's heads of each religion that are going to step forward, right? You had a couple of very high.
That we separate, you know, church and state when it comes to things like your freedom of speech. As long as you're not inciting violence against somebody,
but
you know, you don't go into the middle of a room and shout fire.
But what he's talking about is what a good Catholic would do. He's not saying that this is a rule, right?
Well, you're saying that if you speak about my mother, you should expect a punch in the face, you know, and meanwhile, his Messiah says you should turn the other cheek.
Right.
You know, it's a little, I don't understand really where their logic comes from sometimes when it comes to, they want to defend their right to retaliate, but at the same time, you know, how many religious figures have gone up and said, you know, horrible things to people who don't follow their religion? You know, it's
guys,
just,
I'm gonna add a disclaimer in right now, because I think that we could very easily get into a conversation that might be offensive for some people when it comes to religion and when it comes to politics. So, you know, this topic is something that is sensitive, and we want to say that Six's opinion is Six's opinions, Nikki's opinion is Nikki's opinion, and all across the panel we all have opinions. That doesn't mean that negates, you know, what each other thinks. So as we move into hot topics, I think we're going to roll up into the next hot topic here. Nikki, hit it.
Well, I've been learning a lot over the last week. Being somebody that's not really big into I'm big in the gaming industry, but I don't follow everything because I work for a major company and work a lot of hours. This one hit home on Christmas week. My kids both got their favorite Xbox games and PlayStation 4 games and went to go play them on Christmas Day and the day after and the day after, and were met with, God bless
Bless
you.
you.
Yeah.
And they were met obviously with not being able to get on, and I'm sure we've talked about this last week when I wasn't here. So big DOS attack takes down PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. So Lizard Squad, which is a collective group of hackers, took they pretty much stepped forward and said, we did it, but it's a collective. It's not really a group that meets anywhere. So you know they have to actually track down the people that did it. And I think it was just earlier today they actually arrested an 18-year-old boy in England who actually was part of this group that was bringing down the network. And they find out that he's actually done quite a few other things, which is, he's called the different municipal police departments in the United States through Skype and sent SWAT teams out to, a crime scene that wasn't there. My question to you is, here we are in a world now that jurisdictions are crossing country boundaries, right? And it's all this big cyber attack on probably one of the biggest days in the gaming industry, which would be Christmas, where people finally get to play their games. What kind of what would you do? What should these people, these individuals and group, what should they suffer? What kind of penalty would you put on them? That's what I've been thinking, because it really did make my kids miserable for hours on Christmas Day. And you multiply that throughout all of, Western Europe and through the United States, Canada. So
No, that's
I'm just wondering,
definitely.
what would you guys think?
I was actually working on a GameStop the day after Christmas too, with people coming in with their questions about like what was wrong with their systems and what was wrong with their connection, and it was
Right.
interesting to see how to work through those problems with people and try to get them to understand what was going on, and so that was kind of cool. And not in a not in a way that that was awesome, but it was cool to see how people were kind of coming together and trying to make logic of it and get through it, because it was really traumatic for some kids. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I know for my son it was. So,
yeah,
Aaron,
definitely.
what about you? What do you think?
Well, the problem with that is if you could punish them, you could take away their computer, but as soon as they get another computer, I mean, it's only a matter of time till they get the tools to access more computers and do more DDoS attacks. And I think it's probably just like any other crime. I mean, they took down and they caused monetary damage to multiple companies, probably resulting in I don't know how much 12 hours worth of Xbox Live is worth times a couple million, but that's a lot of monetary damage, and I
Right.
think that a prison time or something along those lines would be just as fitting as if they had went in and broke the servers physically.
Hmm.
But to the amount of time, that's going to be left to a jury.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I would have to agree with that. I I definitely would say that it's kind of hard to gauge how much time you would have to go and serve for that. I mean, but all at the same time it is a big damage. Like, companies have to go in and fix it. I mean, it's time consuming. And
It's
it
interesting
puts
too that it spans like countries, different
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's an all over
Yep.
Yeah.
problem. It's not like it's just here or just in any other country. It's everywhere.
Do
So,
you charge them on a global level? Like it's
Well, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Where's
yeah.
the municipality now? Like, you're crossing virtual space is not any one place, right? It's everywhere.
yeah.
And what's
So,
interesting too is that the laws on the internet are very foggy. Not even on an international level, but
right.
our privacy rights are not the same on the internet, and I don't agree that they shouldn't be. I agree. I think that they get away with murder with what they can do with our information online. But I think that that's really interesting that, the laws are different. But what I do think needs to happen, regardless of how you sentence them, is there needs to be a change on the way that people who have cyber attacks, who have kind of cyber crimes, they don't have limits on how many times they could be charged for the same offense, which I learned when Aaron Schwartz took his life. They could charge you for one offense 1,000 times and give you multiple life sentences for like sharing a textbook. And I do think that it's important that we have these discussions about what they could charge you. They could charge you multiple times, in America at least, for one offense on a cybercrime. They don't have to like how if you rob a bank in real life, right? You're only going to get charged for that one robbery once. But if you rob a bank by hacking, you can get charged 1,000 times for that one robbery.
All right.
And that's
are you sure? Because that
was my understanding of it when Aaron Schwartz died, because he was saying that he released books and he was getting excessive sentencing, which was legal for his offenses.
I don't know. I mean, that would be protected by the Constitution. That's not right.
Well, I mean, our right to privacy should be too, but apparently they're able to go through our emails.
Well, there is no
but
right
they can't tap our phone.
There really isn't a right to that in the Constitution, but there is a right to fair trial, and you can only be charged once.
We have privacy laws, like they can't tap your phone without a reason, and they have to have
those are laws.
They have to have reasons to go through into them.
Right.
But I mean,
it says if you hack across state lines, you can be charged by every state you pass through.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Aegon.
And that's the same when you talk about, a person that is a mass murderer.
But when we talk about,
but the difference is,
we have to set limits regardless. I think that's important.
Yeah, but when you hack across state lines, you could only be. I mean, I'm asking Aegon, are you being charged for the same crime, or are you being charged for each occurrence that happened in each state? Like a mass murderer is going to be charged for each murder that they commit in each state. Are they going to be charged for the one hack they did across all the states? Because that, I think, would have that would be kind of tough.
I think it's probably similar to that of a mass murderer. I think it would be very awkward if it weren't. Like, my personal view on it is, okay, so the kid was accused of swatting. You should charge him the same way that you would charge anyone who filed a false police report. 3,000%. Swatting is a waste of time, resources, and taxpayer dollars. You should charge them, you should have them arrested, and you should be done with it. As far as hacking goes, like, so one of the things Prod said is, in one of our chatters, he says that they show that our networks aren't safe and are able to be hacked. And while I agree that that is important, it is important to know that our information isn't safe so that our technology is consistently evolving and is consistently working to safeguard us. But on the other hand, you have to have a penalty for these things unless that person is literally like working for the NSA as a code breaker or working for a corporation to try to hack their own way into the corporation's like specially reserved secret super awesome software. Like like unless you're like doing some like lowdown.
Breaking news, Fogubog has just entered the channel.
Fogubog!
Welcome, Fog.
Finally.
Finally, it's about daggone time.
All right, we're really excited, Aaron. We haven't seen Fogubog in a time.
You have to do something. You can't let people continually violate the law and not do anything about it. Honestly, if it's somebody in England and like they're hacking the United States, I would charge them in both countries. Well,
that's what they're gonna do.
And call it a day. Like that's what should be done. Because they not only broke the law in one country, they broke it in another. And I would literally just do back-to-back sentencing. Like, you're in England, you serve however many years you need to serve, and then you are extradited to the United States, where you serve your sentence for the United States and the laws you broke.
I'm a little lost with them. Did they admit to it and claim it, or did they get caught?
They caught him in the act.
Okay.
Caught him in the act
So
of
they
something.
have like okay.
Bust down his door.
And
Yes,
Storms
they
is right.
did.
Like
You could-
hacking and swatting are super big forms of cyber terrorism and are highly punishable by the law.
Yeah, they tracked him. It was a Southeast Regional Organized Crime Unit in Britain tracked him to his house, and he was arrested on suspicion of unauthorized access to computer material. So if you've ever watched MI5, you know, they're FBI, they probably did the same things that we did. The last part of this is there's a lot of talk if you read all the different comments in the article, and what they're talking about is on the high seas there is, you know, you're in between countries, there's no way to actually bring you up on any jurisdiction, so the nations created the laws of the admiralty, so they're saying that they should come together and create some kind of laws that govern internet use across countries, and that's where that whole thing started to go. So I was hoping that you guys would get to that part, but I guess we can move on to the next.
We've got a question from Ninja Loot real quick.
Yay.
They say, "Hey, a little off topic, but are any of you ladies excited to get your hands on Nintendo's new hospital simulator, Wii Nurse?"
No.
What do we look like, man?
Nurse?
We're not excited at all.
Why not?
We're
Doctor.
You know, Surgeon
Why not?
Simulator was enough to make some of us crazy. Okay, so we
I'll go out and get my
don't
old
want to do
operation.
nurse.
No.
I'll go get that.
Negatory.
We
Thanks
could be
for
nurse.
asking.
We could be the nurse and the doctor in trauma center. We got it already.
Okay.
Cred time.
And definitely. I went to I don't know if you want to take it first before me, Kim, but I have a topic about how Xbox is allowing streaming of their Microsoft is allowing streaming of their games on YouTube and Twitch exclusively. Their terms of service for their game streaming applies to all sites except for Twitch and YouTube.
So
What do you ladies think of that?
Well, wait, that's different. So the statement they put out where you just had to give them credit, right? With a little blurb in the beginning and a verbal blurb about it being property of Microsoft, right?
But I believe that it only can be on Twitch and YouTube.
But you still have to give them.
You still have to
cite.
you still have to give them the
Okay.
credit for their.
No, I think that's wonderful. Well, where else are you going to stream? I don't know.
What could be the next big? If it was in 2003, what if it was MySpace and then
All right.
Facebook became big? You know, it
Or
could
between
change.
Justin Games and
Yeah.
Twitch. Yeah, okay.
It could change.
Yeah.
I have a problem with it in the sense of I think it's kind of nepotistic, and I think that people should have a right to stream on whatever site they want as long as they give the credit to whoever it goes to. I don't think you have the right to claim things to a certain degree, but people have their reasons for streaming on different services, and in the end I think Microsoft would lose out on that, but that's how I feel about it. I think that if you're going to give credit, you're going to have terms of service. You shouldn't make exceptions for certain brands.
Maybe they get money from those.
Of course. But
I mean,
the next big thing they'd get money from. If you can go through the right of applying and doing things properly.
Okay.
I think there should be avenues to go around different routes.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you what I think. And I agree with both of you ladies, since I really can't top the conversation that was just had between the two of you. I agree on both points. I think there should be the freedom to wherever you would like to, because it's your content. But there is a services agreement that is, obviously equated as signed and agreed to by you when you do use those services. So again, as a company and an entity making money, they can say, this is what we require of you, and you have a choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kim, go ahead.
being a streamer, particularly, it doesn't really affect me that much. I mean, on the Xbox side, because I don't own an Xbox. I probably won't. But you know, I like I said, I agree with both of you on both of that as well. You know, and also I think it's more of a business venture. To be completely honest, it's to make closer ties with those two websites. I mean, they're the heads. You know what I mean? They want that that kind of exposure. I mean, they already have a huge amass of it. Why not get even more? You know what I mean? By only centraling it to Twitch and to YouTube. So, being that you are YouTube, Aaron, what do you think about it?
I don't know. I see that they are trying to make it specific, and maybe they're making more money from it, but I think that they're losing out money. I think they're wholly within their right to do so, but I think it's maybe limiting themselves, and that's not the first time they've limited themselves. I don't know. I can't complain. I try to work around different publishers and developers guidelines, but yeah, if it makes me angry, I might get angry, but I'm probably gonna abide by it. They do have some say in how their content is used, and that's understandable.
No, definitely.
Well, guys, we have a new precedence here on the show tonight, and Aaron, our wonderful guest Aaron, has brought his own hot topic into the show. Woo! He decided to one up everybody else who's been on the show.
No
and
kidding.
We're on episode 45 now. You guys, he has just raised the bar. The rest of you people that are booked into past March, you better bring it. Because
Yeah,
Aaron's
no
just told you.
kidding.
He's calling you guys out.
Sorry about
So,
that,
Aaron.
Stephen. Okay. So Joystiq decided as of, I want to say it was Tuesday, that they were no longer going to be using review scores or stars on their reviews anymore. They said that the only reason they had done it in the first place was to get a Metacritic presence, because Metacritic at the time, and probably still, only accepts numbers. They said that prior to that they weren't okay with it. They worked into it, and they still thought that it was not being true to the readers, and so they pulled review scores, and now they're going to give, instead of a number at the bottom, they're going to have a little box that says pros and cons, what's good about it, who's it good for, and that's an important part, and just a little summary about it. But then they're going to have a full review in addition.
I think that that's awesome. I think that a lot of people who follow gaming, follow game reviews, have almost been too hung up in a Metacritic-like formula, and I think that that takes away from the artistic value that goes into a game. And games are unique in the sense of they're interactive, and they're cinematic, and they're artistic, as well as being, you know, from computers and mathematically based and having formulas and strategies. And I think that me and you can play a game, and all of us could play a game, and we could all play it in a different way. And therefore, there's a level of opinion that goes into video games that you don't necessarily get from a book or a movie where it's definitely one track. And in that, you know, it's interesting to see a company taking another route and saying, you know, you can get your number score here, but we want you to know why our writer, why our reviewer felt this way, without getting bogged down by the almost cheat sheet that is the number at the end of the article. You know, and decide for yourself if if you feel the same way. You know, I think that's great.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think you can't boil down like a book or a movie. It's one track. Someone might experience it differently, but a game is wholly unique to each person. To put a number to it, I don't even know how someone can do that. I don't understand. The units, it's 7 out of what?
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
I have a
agree.
lot of respect for Joystiq, and Kotaku did it.
Yeah.
Came out and said this is not how you review games. It doesn't make sense. It disrespects the game, and it's true. You can't say this game is this good. Absolutely, you can say who it's good for, why it's good, why it's bad. But I think that a number is just arbitrary and it doesn't mean anything. And I'm glad that they took them away.
I don't know if I think it's arbitrary, but I think it's important that you read into more why it was given that score.
I
Because,
think that, I think
What were you
that
saying?
some of this is literally just a response to Gamergate.
yeah,
And I think
Oh my
on top
God.
of that, I think to some degree that you can only
So
do so much to review a game and explain to other people why it's good. But there are things in games that are 100% guaranteed. Are the graphics good? Graphics being good or bad isn't really that much of a message of like personal choice. Whether or not the game has replayability. If the game is the same every time you play it, it's going to have a lower level of replayability.
But,
The cost of the game versus replayability versus the amount of time that you have actually playing the game versus also the quality of graphics, whether or not there are glitches, is all going to be an effect in this. And none of that is really something that is like,
that has to do with
it's
the writer,
okay
though.
for me. This is all stuff that's more like, this is 100% guaranteed.
I don't think it's fair to put that on every reviewer. Because I could give a Zelda game a 7 out of 10 because it didn't bring me back to the nostalgia that Ocarina of Time did. You know, you're reviewing certain games differently. And I don't think that it's fair for people to think that this is a certain formula. Like, I replay Yoshi's Story. I've been replaying Yoshi's Story constantly since I was like 6. You know, it's just, you know, it's a game, it's a simple game, it's an easy game, but it has severe replayability for me. I played it just last week. I beat it 4 times. You know, it's something that, you know, I think that part of that is personal, and I think that a reviewer and their followers have a right to express that. And I don't think that that's always going to be something that you could attribute a number to. Not fairly to the game and to the people who put the effort into making the game.
I think you can when it's majority ruled.
What do you mean? It's still what about like if you went back to the PlayStation
you
days?
might have the ability to replay Yoshi's Story, but
Interesting.
a lot of the population probably doesn't.
That's not true because Metacritic has a critical bad score, but player score it's very high. Players love Yoshi's Story, but critics didn't because it was too simple. The graphics weren't too great. You know, it was mechanically a little clunky, but people love Yoshi's Story. And, you know, that's one of those examples of when, you know, critically, when you go down the numbers, it got a 2 out of 5. But people give it great scores because they love it. It's a beloved game. You know, and I think that needs to be taken into account. You know, people have the right to assess things how they personally feel. And I think that back in the day with PlayStation Magazine, where you had 3 different writers assess one game with 3 different taste profiles, that really summed it up better and gave what more of a Gamergate crowd would have wanted than a number.
I think that's a perfect way of explaining it.
No, but I think at a
There were a
certain
lot.
point, I think at a certain point, I think at a certain point, the majority can determine whether or not a game is within a certain rating. And I'm gonna put this really simply. Look at Amazon reviews on Amazon Prime television shows and movies. The ones who have a large number of stars with a lot of reviews are ones that people typically like. It may not be your personal favorite, but they're still technically pretty good shows. And that's my point, is that sometimes those numbers can be incredibly useful. But if they're useful for representing the majority.
All right, ladies, I'm gonna mod here because we're getting a little bit bogged down and we got some great things going on in chat. Kim, go ahead with the chat.
Yeah. So Storms asked, what about Call of Duty constantly getting tens? That's a good representation of how the number system kind of works for us. You know,
Right.
games with good graphics and all that junk get tens, and that's about it. That's the extent of it.
I
Well,
think
with big
that
names.
the
Yeah,
loss
big
of
names also, and
the
I
loss
saw
of
Aegon and
exclusives
him,
hurt that.
Aegon and Storms talking about, it's a lot of advertising things. Advertising goes into it too. There's
That's why I miss exclusives. Back when we had like PlayStation had their games and Nintendo had their games, there was a lot more competition for making creative and pushing the boundaries in gaming. And I think that now that's been kind of relegated to an indie crowd, as opposed to everybody making the same games for each. And now it's like a ding-a-ling measuring contest about who has the best graphics on their practically identical consoles, or bogging down PCs, or hyper exceeding a PC specs because you want to sell more or sell less of a certain product. And I think that kind of hurts the industry in a huge way, which ties in a lot to Kim's story about with Square Enix that we're going to get to.
And then Prod also said that the meta is taking over. Most people don't buy games anymore because of a number. I know personally, when I go on Steam, I don't look at the number. I read over the reviews. I sit there and read just these long reviews of what people have to say. I get a good idea of what I'm getting into. You know what I mean? Does this person seem kind of like how I would feel about the game? That sort of thing. But C Plus also said Metacritic is full of crap anyway, and the stars are often not true. So
Metacritic is fine for a lot of people, though. Some people really just want a game that's going to occupy their time. Not everybody wants certain kinds of experiences or something emotional or something dystopian. There's so many different kinds of games. It's such a crazy and amazing form of art that there's just, I don't think that there's one right way for every person, or even for necessarily a majority of people that are really into it. The crowd that's gonna live their life playing a game. And a lot of them, they don't even need the number scores because they know what they like already. They know what franchises they like, and they know what to look for in new games that are going to come out. So sometimes I wonder who those scores are even really for. But
yeah.
Speaking of numbers, kind of dictating what happens in the industry, Kim, you have a really interesting story about that.
Yeah, so I'm a big Square Enix fangirl. I always have been. But Square Enix is the only publisher that would touch Life is Strange because it has a female protagonist. And I think Ian's got a video up, and he's going to throw it up there. And we'll watch that, and then I'll touch on it again.
You guys, Ian's a little confused because we just moved into a topic that we weren't ready for. So, there is. I'll give you the link, Ian.
I'm sorry, Ian.
And you can tell me if I'm correct, Kim. That was the correct link for Ian.
Let me see here. Yes.
All right, and it's not a video. It's just a link directly to the article, so you can go ahead.
All right. Sorry, I had the video up here.
But you can share it with him.
Yeah, let me go ahead and
put it in chat
there was
and they
a
can take a
trailer.
look.
Let me put it in there real quick. Sorry, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties. But while Ian's setting up, I'll let him ping me when he's ready. So a little bit about Life is Strange. It's their newest IP, and it follows Max, who has the power to rewind time and is searching to find a missing fellow student. And Max is a girl, So that's very interesting. It's always nice to see a female pro tag. Especially for me, I like to do that. I like to have a female pro tag from time to time. So
No, yeah.
I mean, come on. Pff, there's so many. Yeah, we really need this. I'm glad that Square Enix took this and really wanted to go for it.
I think it's interesting that you were saying it was in the notes that they did pitch this to a lot of other companies, and Square Enix was the only company that did not want to touch that the protagonist is a female.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this, Aaron? You're the male of the group today. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit.
I always think it's interesting when people say that it's all about marketing, that the male protagonist is going to sell more, that no one would buy a female protagonist. Show of hands, how many of you would buy a game with the main character being female?
Yeah.
Type 1 in the chat if you would buy a game with the main protagonist being a female.
I don't know if I'd buy a game because it's female, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's always a plus, though. You know what I mean?
Like,
would you be more likely to buy a game if it gave you the option?
I'm
or
more likely to
primarily?
Play female.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear from a lot of female gamers, and I think that if they actually did try marketing something more than sex, that they'd probably have a decent success. I mean, BioWare generally allows for people to play as females, and they have a huge following. They allow for a whole lot of other stuff. I mean, the more you market, the more you can, reap. So it always amazes me when they stick with, oh, we got to make this male. And I would have no problem playing as a female protagonist.
And that brings to a good point. Apparently, with Remember Me, people took a big issue with male gamers playing as a female character who kisses a male character. And, they said, oh, we had people tell us, you can't make a dude like having a female protagonist and kissing another male. Apparently, that's just going to feel awkward to them. And, I think... Personally, I know a lot of male gamers that play only female. They want to play female on anytime you get the option, male or female, they're going to pick female. Always. So, I kind of have a little bit of beef with that statement. I don't think that, it would be that awkward. I mean, you wanted to play the female, so wouldn't you expect that would happen?
Ian is ready to run that video, so go ahead and run that trailer.
Sunshine for everyone, but as far as I can remember, we've been migratory animals living under changing weather.
Whose microphone is making that noise? Brushing against
It's Pixie Food, sorry.
Yes! Gotcha! No, it's not Pixie. It's somebody else.
It's not mine.
My mic is over here.
Mine's over here.
I mean, I don't know how they're gonna reach. Once they got
oh,
telekinesis.
All right.
Great
So,
Use the
promo.
force. I'm sorry.
let her talk.
Storms had a very, very good comment. They said, as a future developer, I don't think the female protag isn't the issue at hand. I feel that since the industry is heavily male-dominated, I feel that the developers have a hard time creating an interesting female character that would attract the male audience without objectifying the female.
That's definitely a point that gets brought up a lot in certain circles of people who are trying to get women into STEM fields, which is definitely a goal that we have here at Ladies of the Roundtable. And I don't think that it's necessarily true, but I think that it's a good point, and that it probably does have some truth to it. But I don't think that just because you're a guy that means that you're going to be limited to making uninteresting or objectified female characters. Men have been writing fantastic characters since we've had literature. So I don't think that that it has to be a limit. I think that there's a lot of factors that go into place there. What do you ladies think?
Okay.
Paige. Good job. Pixie next.
Like,
Go ahead, Pix.
like the truth is, like, what does it matter? If you put a male or female character into the game, right, they're going to have a plot that relates to them. What does it matter if, like, the girl kisses a dude? Like, if you really think people are going to be that uncomfortable by it, you should look at the Kinsey scale, because most people aren't 100% straight anyway, according to psychology. So, like, if you really want to do that, like, understand that a dude probably, like, might be attracted to another dude at some point in time, like, because you can be, like, a 2 on the Kinsey scale, which means that at a certain point you can still be attracted to a man. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, I don't understand why people assume that this would bother a dude, because, like, at a certain point you're basically, like, in a fantasy world. Like, is it really gonna bother you if you see yourself as a chick kissing a dude in a video game? Like, what the...
What do you think, Aaron? You're a dude.
I would have no problem with either a female or male character kissing another male. I mean, the fantasy is believing that homosexuality doesn't exist. I mean, it does exist, and there's not just, like you said, there's the whole wide Kinsey scale in between.
Yeah.
And just to keep going with the male sweeps the female off their feet and kisses them, and that's okay, but any other format is not okay. That's old, and I think that I think a lot of people would like to see a change to that.
It's
I know
not
I would.
eradicated yet. I think that everybody here agrees that we would like to see that eradicated, that homophobia. But I have to think about during the NFL drafts, when they showed 2 men kiss, the FCC got huge amounts of complaints about that. When you bring homosexuality, especially into a male-dominated industry, there definitely is some backlash, and I don't think that that's right. And I don't think that anybody here would think that that's right, but it's a fight still. And it's luckily changing, and society is fighting back against that notion that it's wrong. What do you think, Kim?
I think I'm gonna pass it over to Shriv real quick.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna just read Fogubog's comment because it tickled me, and I'm sorry, Aaron, if you thought I was laughing at you, but I wasn't. I was laughing at
it. It was
that.
really good. I laughed too. So.
Sonya Blade, as Fog says, Sonya Blade had a finishing move that was a kiss, and there was 0 fucks given, right? Oh, come on, you make a good character and you want to play it. I think that's how I feel about it. There are times when I want to play a male character because it's badass and the class warrants, or the character structure and playstyle warrants me playing a male. I don't always play a female character. I want to play the best, for me, RPG or architecture in the game that fits my playstyle, whether that may be a male, that may be a female. It could be a race that is not gendered. I haven't seen that in a game yet, where I don't have to pick one or the other. You know, I would love to see that and see what happens. But I think that the article states that there was some feedback from the people playing the game, you know, the former game that was out before this one, saying that men did not want to play it because they felt that they were homophobic about kissing another male as a female character. Now, what does that say about our generation and or, you know, whatever the age group that was playing that game? That says a lot, and you're right.
It is interesting too, because one of the claims in something like Mass Effect is that, oh, you could be a girl too, but everything is still catered towards a male gaze. You're still going to have a female stripper, you're still going to have a girlfriend, and although that's fine, you know, it's not necessarily going to grab girls who experience life through a female perspective. And like Aaron said, I completely agree earlier that, you know, you're limiting the market and then saying that it's the reason why, and then saying that it's not the reason why the market is limited. And I think that that's backwards. I think that's very backwards logic.
Nikki, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to mention what we just talked about. I think that, you know, this is, to me, it's like how many people went in there and played Mass Effect and played as Commander Shepard as a female and went and screwed around with the girl, or how many guys.
They did have a percentage of that. It wasn't even half played as female.
But what I'm saying is that it happens regardless, right? People pick female protagonists when they can. It happened inside of the game before that, which was the Star Wars The Old Republic, right? So Knights of the Old Republic series. So I really don't think this is a big deal. I think that there are a huge amount of female gamers. They might not be playing those types of games, though. And I see females that play male characters, like Carmen said. I see males that play female characters. And there is homosexuality spread amongst some of the most stellar games and big sellers like Mass Effect and, you know, the Knights of the Old Republic series. So to me, it's not a big thing. Like the game that you're showing me, to me, that makes me feel good because a young female protagonist, something that my daughter could latch on to, or somebody in her age group. And I think that's important because there's a very big section of female gamers coming up now, right?
Yeah.
I constantly rip into Cloud Imperium Games over at, you know, the people that make Star Citizen, because they're making this big game, and for 2 years now all they've had is a male character to show everybody, and they wonder why 2% of the population playing the, you know, pledging for the game is male, you know, female, and you know, the rest is male. I think that you have to play to both ends, right? How many people played Lara Croft, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a
Miss Pac-Man, even.
Right.
You know,
right,
sold
right,
better than
Ms.
Pac-Man.
Right. So I mean, I think that there are, as long as the stories, I think Aaron said this, didn't you? As long as the stories make sense, as long as they put that protagonist in a good light and it's engaging and enriching, I want to see it. But if it's just thrown in because it's a female, I don't care. I want the game to be good regardless of what sex the main character is.
My favorite game is the main character is a male.
Yeah.
You know, it just so happens. But when I have a choice, I tend to play a female. And even when I played Mass Effect, I did not like Mass Effect. I didn't finish Mass Effect, but I started it as a woman. You know, but my favorite game is actually, it's BioShock. You know, and you play as a male.
Yeah.
And in all of the BioShock games, I believe, you're a male. So I think that, you know, gameplay, Ms. Pac-Man did better than Pac-Man because Ms. Pac-Man was a better game. It was more technical, had better levels, it had more variety. And, you know, that speaks more volumes than what sexuality and what gender is in the main seat.
Right. So, Kim, what do you think?
So, Killa's got a pretty good comment here.
Oh, awesome.
I feel like they're not playing females because they're a strong character. So there was a lot of chatter in chat going on about how a lot of people main females and like WoW and all sorts of other MMORPGs and that sort of stuff. And you know, Killa said, I don't think it's because they're a strong character. And I think that there is a lot of that. And Storms did go on to say that that wasn't the point, or that's the point that they're trying to make. I'm just saying that objectification is the current way to sell a female game, and that's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good comment.
Yeah. And way to stick by your point and do it politely as well.
Yeah, I mean, we deal even within our own group without the chat involved, you know, with a lot of different opinions. And you know, I think that it's important that, you know, we understand we do respect everybody's opinion and your right to hold an opinion. You know, it's definitely I believe personally that there should be kind of a game for every kind of market, and there should be a fantasy for everyone who wants to experience something great. And I think that games have the ability and the reach to be able to do that and effectively. And that's awesome about video games, and that's a huge reason why we love them so much. Shiv, you have my favorite story of the night, actually.
Well, I was watching my morning news today, and obviously a couple other shows that come on that everybody should be watching. Good Morning America, I don't know, it's a little show that you might catch it every now and then.
My friend works there, actually.
One of my idols, is
Michael
Robin
Strahan.
Roberts. Robin Roberts has always been a very strong, effective, unique, and very straightforward person in the media, and she is very what her persona is, what you see, that is the person that she is. And this story, I happened to watch it with my kid, my mini, and I thought it was heartwarming as well as very science-minded. So it has to do with the almighty 3D printer that is taking over our world now. You can almost print anything. The 3D printer is...
Little men.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Where's your little guys, Nikki? Show off your little army men there.
Yeah. 3D printed little men.
So, I'm a big softie when it comes to kids, like I said. There's a 7-year-old that got a prosthetic, and that seems like nothing, nothing big to you guys, but not only did he get a new prosthetic, which is very expensive, but he got a 3D printed stormtrooper arm presented to him by the 501st Legion. And we have a video that Ian's going to show you, so you can see the kid's reaction to getting this arm, and I'll let you guys watch it.
So that you can continue your training.
Are we waiting again?
What do you think about that?
Checking on producer Ian, see if he's still breathing.
You want to try it on? Okay, let's try it on.
Oh, it's rubbing now, thanks.
Open. Yes, try it on. All right. You good? Very good, very good.
That is neat.
You want to pick that up for us? Turn that. There you go.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
We're all members of the Georgia Garrison of the 501st Legion, and we are honored to be here today, and we wanted to present you with this certificate. We're naming you a friend of the Georgia Garrison of the 501st.
Oh, wow.
May the force be with you.
So you have a little clap. You can take this and put forks on it or different things like that. And you put it on your hand. All right. Rotate it. Have the fork there and cut your steak without any help. How about that?
All the feels.
I started building a 3D printer, and then as I was doing that, I found a group called eNable, or E-Nable. And what they do is they put a lot of 3D designs out there for people who need hands and arms. Really, arms really wasn't starting until later, but they started doing arms, and I got matched up with Liam because we're both living in Augusta by Enable, and so I printed off the designs, been working with the family, and this is the outcome. He wanted a clone trooper arm, and I went to a maker fair in Atlanta, and I had like part of the arm done, just the first part, and I'm walking around the maker fair and I'm holding this arm, and I see the 501st, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, the 501st, this is great. And they asked about the arm. I'm like, oh, well, actually, this is a clone trooper arm. And they're like, really? Can we be there when you deliver the arm? Sure, no problem. So it kind of turned into something bigger. So it's great, and I'm sure he'll be the coolest kid in the class.
There you go.
Oh, it was wonderful. I wasn't sure how he would react. I didn't know if he would be very excited or very quiet and overwhelmed. And he was quiet, which is a little funny for him because he always talks. From the beginning, he had to find a different way to kind of do everything. He's done very, very well with it, but there are some things that took a little time. Simple things like pulling up your pants or buttoning your shirt is actually a lot more difficult when you only have one hand.
Yeah.
But he's managed to make it through, but this will make things just a little bit easier.
So I just don't even have to say anything else about that topic. I think you guys all should now just wipe the tear that you have on your cheek and just embrace the feels that you just had and go with it because it was awesome.
I cry every time.
Epic. I mean,
Yeah, it got
that kid's
chat
going to
too.
school. That kid's going to school and be like, check me out.
Right?
He's at lunch like, you just want to touch it. You know what I'm saying?
That's.
I mean, come on.
You know
That's
what's cool about
ridiculous.
that too is that he's going to be walking around with that, and people are going to want to interact with it positively rather than a morbid curiosity, which I think is
Yeah.
really important for a child, especially who needs prosthetic limbs. Yes, sometimes people just can't help themselves. They're just so rude, and they don't know how to not ask certain questions, despite
know,
how old a person is.
The other thing that I want to comment on, and you're right, Six, is, you know, people are sometimes rude and ignorant about certain things, and this may be one of them, but we do have to also remember that kids need to have a learning tool and have a gateway to be able to have a conversation with them. And sometimes it's very difficult to have that conversation with your child with them understanding, and this is a great way to do that. And it just brings two things that we all love, and we're geeking out over this together.
Yeah.
And it opens up a great dialogue. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely awesome. Not only does this kid get to live out the dream of being a cyborg, which is pretty awesome. It's a dream of mine, honestly. But
a cyborg janitor.
Android janitor.
That's a movie. You can have the rights to that movie. I think it's good that he is getting that shown in a positive light to other people. That you can, he's not a monster. A lot of people depict cyborgs and people who've had, even in real life, people who've had prosthetics don't get shown in the best light, even if it is non-robotic. And I think that's really cool. With was it the 501st?
501st.
Don't mess that one up.
Yeah.
But that's a really good thing that they did.
Yeah, that was incredible.
They're an awesome organization.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, they do a lot of great charity work, and they are all over the place. And
I missed them at Dragon Con this year.
Oh man, what do you think,
Pixie?
Okay, so first of all, holy crap, that kid is adorable. Number one. Second of all, I think things like this are amazing. And here's why. It shows not only that we're advancing in technology, but it shows, like, it restores my faith in humanity. The arm was, first of all, 3D printed, and second of all, we took a small boy and people made him happy. It's like the little boy whose dream is to be Batman, and so the police department dressed him up like Batman and took him around. Like,
what was that, San
these
Francisco?
things, yeah, like
Yeah.
these things restore my faith in humanity, and it shows that, like, geek culture can bring people together. It doesn't have to be anything that, like, sets us apart or makes us weird. It can be something that's uniting and bonding and strengthens us.
Definitely. I think that was 3D printing, especially.
The other thing that I didn't mention is, I'm sorry, Six. The other thing I didn't mention is the 3D printer. The guy that did it actually had the printer, and he went to another company that made designs and custom designs for limbs, and he worked with them specifically to get this done because the boy had the request, and it didn't cost the family a dime, which is
that's awesome.
phenomenal, because these things
great.
are very expensive, and a lot of families cannot afford them, or they're put on a waiting list and have to have the kids suffer through embarrassment and or pain with the prosthetic that doesn't fit correctly. So Kim, what do you think?
I cannot express how happy that made me. Back to what Pixie was saying, yeah, that really, the people can be really awful sometimes, but when I see something like that, that makes me feel great. And yeah, I mean, gosh, I'm a little bit jelly. Like, I wish I could have one.
No.
I mean, it's just like,
Just for a day.
Like, I would be.
She has no words.
I know,
That's
I
good.
don't. That is just, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it's really awesome, and, you know, I would already been that kid's friend in the first place, but I definitely would never, ever, ever let him go after that. I'd be like, your arm is so cool.
But, like, as
Like,
he's
just
growing,
like the weirdest comment you could ever say. Your arm is so cool.
as he's growing, do you think he's gonna get, like, a collection of really cool prosthetic arms?
That
You know
would
what
be
I mean?
awesome.
Like, that's what I would
great.
do.
And then just
Like, just
arms all over his room.
Thank you
No.
so much,
like,
guys.
save
Everybody
all
that's
the
hitting that
arms.
follow button.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Kim's
would
just
be-
like, let me cuddle with it for like 5 minutes.
You know,
Just 5 minutes.
My
Yeah,
mini
that's
says
awesome.
to me, after we watched that story, she said she was jealous, like Kim, you know, that epic arm was, you know, given to this kid. However, she was happy for him because she realizes how mean kids can be, and this opens up a whole new world of the cool kids table for him. You know,
Well, and
so
probably a ton more of self-confidence. I mean,
Yes.
come on. How could you not be self-confident with that thing?
Yeah.
you know, I just hope that there is a lot of people looking out for him, going to school, and, you know, wherever he does take that, so that it doesn't end up stolen, because unfortunately sometimes that happens. People want things that you have, and that is a big commodity to have a stormtrooper arm, you know. I
wouldn't mess
mean,
with a stormtrooper.
it's pretty
Are you
epic,
kidding
and
me?
I hope that it continues to be just a positive experience for him, and they can resize that as he grows. And, you know, he couldn't hold a fork or a spoon to cut his food. You know, now he can do all those things that everyone takes for granted. So good on you, 501st. Thank you for participating in that.
It was great of them.
That was amazing. I love it. Love it.
Oh man, there's just nothing that can top that. That's the best story.
It really isn't.
That was
It really
great.
isn't. I mean, yeah, I mean, anybody want to bring it around to anything, or what do we got? We got Pixie, we got Sharpista.
I can go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, what are we talking about? Another.
Go ahead.
What?
So,
So, what?
Sega and Creative Assembly's next project is Total War Warhammer. It's been leaked by a new art book. It's not hugely surprising development because Creative Assembly signed a deal with Games Workshop to make titles set in the Warhammer universe in 2012. The studio director at the time, Tim Heaton, promised Creative Assembly would be doing the Warhammer universe justice in a way that's never been attempted before. I'm super excited. A secret confession, I may or may not really like Warhammer figurines and may or may not do a lot of really creative flocking of the bases. But I'm super excited to see this coming, and I can't wait. So Aaron, what do you think? Do you know anything about Warhammer or anything?
I do, and I know the Total War series is a perfect fit for Warhammer. I mean, that's pretty much the perfect template for a tabletop game, and it's really cool that they're going to be doing that. I'm sure a lot of people will be buying it, but yeah, I'll just have to wait and see how that goes. I'm sure it's going to be popular.
Shriv?
You know, I don't play this type of tabletop, or this, I don't do miniatures, because I'm not crafty. I don't have a steady hand to paint them, and I really want to paint them and decorate them in my own image, and it just pisses me off. So I have really no comment to add other than good on you guys. The rest of you guys that are looking forward to this, I hope it brings you lots of joy and creativity, and I'd like to see, Pixie, you post some more images of when you're finished, because I can't do it. I mean, I'm good at coloring outside the lines.
Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun. So what do you think? What do you think, Nikki?
I never was a big fan of Warhammer anything until I started working in the location I work in now. And all of the, we'll just call them geeks, they were all playing it for a while, and I went to a place to, find them, and this guy had a set that was worth thousands of dollars, from tanks to Marines to all painted by himself. And I just started looking at them going, holy can I curse? Holy shit, this is freaking awesome. So yeah, I think it's cool. So the fact that it's going to be brought out by the Total War series, which my favorite one of the Total Wars was Napoleon. Now I get to play Total War Warhammer. That would be awesome.
They're also doing Attila with Attila the Hun.
Well, yeah. Okay, that is incredible. I like, and Sega has been putting out some amazing titles with that, so I'm very happy about that. We won't talk about the failed titles, but those are good.
Yeah.
All right,
just kind of push those to the side. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Shriv. That's definitely not my expertise. If I tried to paint anything like that or that sort of stuff, it would be a blob. But I could see why this would be such a cool thing for a lot of people, and I think that they're gonna do it great, and people are gonna really enjoy it.
I'm psyched. I can't wait for it to come out.
Alrighty, Paige.
Well, Nikki, you had something to touch on with Xbox?
Yeah, well, it looks like preliminary NPD data is coming out for the retail holiday season, and there's kind of a mixed bag of things in the data for this year for the console gaming industry. The first part is that it lost over $1 billion. Second piece is November and December were carried by Xbox and PlayStation 4, with Xbox edging out PlayStation 4 in both months due to extreme cuts in price and discounts. Now, the question is Xbox going to be able to keep up now that prices are back up to being equal? The preliminary data is it looks like it's going to be a 50-50 year for the two platforms. But the big thing is Microsoft is starting to give comments about most of that $1 billion loss being their loss in the reduction of price in the Xbox to try to make up that. I think it was a 10 or 12 million unit difference between the two by the end of the 11 months that they were out. So we'll see how things are going when both companies start reporting their last quarter financials at the end of this month. NPD is only one of the sources for retail sales. It's not the only source. And they are very quick to make sure that this is for the U.S. Canada and England, and not for the world. Worldwide, it looks like PS4 still won the race, well, won the battle there. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering what you guys think. Like, the first piece is, what do you think about the loss in money being like mostly Microsoft? So it would be the second $1 billion loss if it's true that they've suffered because of the Xbox franchise in the course of the last 6 years, right? And I personally think both platforms are awesome, but
Mm.
that's a big thing. So who's first on our list to hit?
We got Aaron.
Aaron? Oh, sorry, always Aaron. Sorry, Aaron.
Always
Um,
Aaron.
Always Aaron.
I think
Hashtag that, guys.
Microsoft makes a lot of risks, or takes a lot of risks. They've made a lot of mistakes,
Yeah.
but I don't think Microsoft loses. Usually they come out ahead. Regardless of which one's selling better now, I think it's going to come down to which one has the killer game down the line, and right now they're not really doing that. It's just a lot of the same on both, and a game that not many people are looking towards buying on either, specific to either system. But I
Right.
think that Microsoft will probably get back their loss, or that means a lot of people have an Xbox now that they lowered the price so low. So that's
Yes.
future game buyers specifically for the Xbox One or Xbone or Xbox 3, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So
I
the
only
bit,
really played Microsoft.
yeah. The
Yeah.
big deal that I'm holding back on from there is that we also have to look at the combined sales were 80% PS4 and Xbox of the total market. So only 20% of them were the old versions of it. But
Mm.
but Wii U showed up too. That's part of the thing that I wanted to say. They were a very close third, with about 700 to $800,000, 800 units in 1 month.
Praise
So
Smash
it's
Brothers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Mario
Yeah,
Karts
Smash
too,
Brothers,
right?
yeah.
Smash Brothers and Mario Karts.
Mario Kart, let me tell you, I have been so sick of Mario Kart games since the N64, and this one is
Really?
so much fun. This one is so good. I did not like the other versions of Mario Kart, but not even like on the DS, but I really, really, really like this version. It's so imaginative, and the world just envelops you. It's fantastic, and it makes me want to buy a Wii U. The games they have out now, they've really taken their games to another level with this platform, and I'm happy to say it because I love Nintendo. Who doesn't? We were all raised on Nintendo. Who
I
are
think we all
kidding?
do.
Right. I only like Microsoft exclusives, so I would only buy an Xbox One. So it's good that they're dropping the price again, because I'd probably buy one sooner rather than waiting for a title that I'm waiting for, like a
Oh, they're
franchise.
dropping the price again? The price
I
went back
believe
up to
so.
full price.
I thought they were dropping it again.
Well,
Ian to
It's
like
officially been
350,
dropped
right?
to 350.
Yeah, they dropped it to 350 again. They dropped it again. Yeah.
when did that happen?
That's
Closer
what
to Christmas.
Yeah, they put it back up to
Oh, they brought it back
$3.99.
up?
It's
Okay,
back
okay,
up to
okay.
$3.99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I was working for a GameStop though, but even
Right.
with the price drop, at the GameStop, we sold out of PS4 bundles. We did not sell out of Xboxes, not even close. So, it's still
Was it
people were not buying the Wii U in our store to buy a PlayStation 4 because of that bundle with GTA. So, they were getting moved, PlayStation 4s.
okay?
Yeah.
So, Aegon said that PS4 will drop their price soon to match the Xbone. Personally, for me, I've never really been much of a Xbox person. Even when there were exclusives, I didn't buy an Xbox. I had one, maybe I had a 360, and I still have one, and it's collected dust. That's all I really had it for. It's a nice bookend for me. I'm not particularly surprised that Xbox has done not so well this Christmas season, just because there's not anything that I see that's really pulling people to it. And now that exclusives aren't as big, you can get this game and this game on Xbox and PlayStation.
Right.
And I think that really contributes to it. And I think that Microsoft doesn't even have to worry. It'll come back around. They'll make the money back. Not a problem.
Maybe. They don't have Cliffy B working on those Gears of War games, and it really hurt them with Judgment. And their big Halo game was like a Master Chief collection that everybody had played before. like I don't know. I don't know what they're planning on pulling out of their sleeve.
Aegon put the official Xbone price drop in the chat if anybody wants to click on it and kind of get a little bit more information on that.
Xbone price drop. Thanks.
The thing is like it really is going to be determined by a game. It pretty much always has been determined by a game, and I think, in all honesty, it's gonna be Xbone. The thing is they've got so many people who are such big fans of games like Halo and Gears of War and Call of Duty that all they need is one of those games and bundle it and put out like their crazy Gears of War Xbox or their
need to bundle it and
Black
I'll buy
Ops Xbox.
I wouldn't even need a bundle.
I think that's what
we're just gonna jam on it.
I think
and
that's what
all
really,
it's gonna take.
Yeah, that's what
really
for.
Sells Xbox for me, because the only reason I got a 360, I got the Star Wars one.
Yeah,
I wanted it. And they have a lot more special edition ones. You know what I mean? I really like that. I bought it just because it was Star Wars.
Yeah, they both have those special editions.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, because I only bought a Vita because I could get it in white. I bought the bundle specifically because I knew I was going to be able to buy the white one singular. So, people do care about the vanity of their product, and I'm surprised that companies don't take advantage of that more like Nintendo does.
I think the day of a dominant console is over, though. I think that the games that draw you into them are going to be good for the people that play it, like Uncharted and The Last of Us, and
though, this happened before, during the video game crash in the 80s. And, there were so many consoles coming out, and they were so similar. And, it's happening a lot with the Nintendo. What are they saying? They might make a new Wii, a new Wii U. They're putting all these different versions of basically the same consoles out. And then if they do what they're doing with the new 3DS and maybe making exclusives just for the new version of the old console, people are just going to migrate towards PCs that they could upgrade and play this virtually the same games on, which is what happened in the past. And I think that that's kind of scary for a lot of people that are comfortable and who like the plug and play concept of a console. But they need to move units.
Okay.
Alrighty, sure.
Chef?
What do you think?
I think you guys covered it. I don't need to say anything else. I think we can move on to the next topic.
Awesome. Kim?
Alright, so I talked about it on the last show. Or did I? Maybe I didn't. But in case you didn't know, I really like JRPGs. JRPGs are my life. So I recently came across one that was successfully crowdfunded on Kickstarter called Soul Saga. And it's a very cute little turn-based game for PC, Mac, and Linux. It's inspired by a lot of the PlayStation classics like Final Fantasy, Persona, which is one of my favorite JRPG series. Persona 5, I'm waiting. I'm ready. So, if anybody in the chat, if any of y'all really like JRPGs, what keeps you coming back to them? I noticed that JRPGs are very big within my group of friends, and maybe that's just central to us, but is that for y'all as well?
I'm not sure, actually.
Let's go with Aaron first.
JRPGs. I like the idea of RPGs, especially JRPGs. I find them to be incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
However, when I was in high school, I was able to set aside time for them. Anymore, it's just you gotta put in 60 hours just to level up to get through the story, and I'd rather play. I know this sounds awful. I'd rather play a 6-hour game. I really love the idea of JRPGs, but I don't know. They just don't hold my interest.
I would have to agree. I'm not against. I just don't. I mean, I'm looking at the video for this one, and it looks incredible. It's just not something I would. Yeah.
It's definitely a new. It's definitely a not necessarily a new take, but it looks very nice.
Yes.
They've tried to make it not too seriously anime, but it's cute enough. It don't draw people in.
So for those of you who don't know what JRPG is, Kim, why don't you go ahead and explain that?
J is for Japanese. It's Japanese RPG. Like I said, Persona is a pretty good example. Final Fantasy, yeah, stuff like that.
And for those of you who don't know what it looks like, we can run the video.
Yep.
Hit it, Ian.
It's not bad either. It's only $20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kickstarter
finished. Yeah, Kickstarter finished in June, so we're just waiting for this, and hopefully we'll get a review copy.
Disaster cake.
My internet's gonna get hosed up now.
All right, Paige. So, how do you feel about JRPGs?
I do not like them at all.
My heart. My heart.
My boyfriend loves them. My boyfriend loves them, and I actually found it really hard to find a lot of girls to play games with in my day because girls tend to love JRPGs, and I do like RPGs in the sense of like dungeon crawlers, but I don't like turn-based at all. If I play an RPG, it has to be action, and I'm completely turned off by anime style. So it's just never been my thing. But I do like in Japanese games that they do have a lot of female-centric storylines, and I do like anime, and I do like a lot of anime is really beautifully written. So I don't necessarily get turned off there at the style, or I stop at Japan. But when it comes to my games, they tend to be at a pace that I just don't enjoy. But it looks great, and I know that my boyfriend is really excited about this game, and I know that it's a struggle for American audiences who like JRPGs to find new games, or to even find English versions of the games that they want to play, or the versions are incomplete. You know, I think that Japan definitely doesn't serve its American audience well enough when it comes to JRPGs, and that's a huge reason why I don't like the genre. Why I don't even want to pick it up, because I do see how JRPG fans get treated over here, and it just feels like they get treated as second-rate gamers, and it makes me kind of angry. And I think that I'd probably side more with Sony and give a lot of their games a chance if I really thought that I was going to get a chance to see them. And I don't think that we do. I don't think that I think that a lot of JRPG gamers, or even with Pokemon, you know, we just kind of get the short end of the stick really often with the things that they give away and the things that they offer and the versions, and I don't know, it's like a losing battle in my opinion. Sorry to ramble on about that, but it's just it's such a huge part of the game industry, and in America in particular, we don't get to enjoy it fully, and that makes me a little upset. I don't know who would. I don't know. It's kind of a big thing with me. But what do you think about it, Carmen?
You know, first I have to say I love the fact that you're always honest, Six. You tell us how you really feel.
You don't care about.
Now that you're done doing the dance all over
No,
Kim's
good.
heart, I have to say I semi-agree with you, because I love games from a Western standpoint, when they originate, and how they are developed, and the visualization and how we're immersed in those games, and then they get translated over to the States, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I end up wasting my $60 or whatever it was because I can't get into it. I spend a month or whatever it is trying my hardest to play something that I was so waiting for 6 months to a year, 3 years, depending on, you know, the developer, and it comes across as broken. So I'm very picky when it comes to my JRPGs. I mean, as you guys know, I've mentioned on this show time and time again, my husband watches the Japorn, which you guys call Japanimation. And I'm subjected to that quite a bit, and I can't get into it. But when it comes to my games, you know, my JRPGs, I'm very specific about what I like and what I don't like. So when I find one, I'm like, hooray, the heavens have opened. I now can play something that I can't wait to get into, and to get that disappointing blow, it makes you not want to buy anything else. Makes you not even want to take the chance. So
I think that also, like, that's you off. But with Pokemon in particular, which is probably the most popular turn-based JRPG in America, you know, I think that the community is what keeps that together, much more than necessarily the game. The Pokemon community is really strong, and they could virtually put out the same game or go backward steps. And because the community is so strong, and the battle systems have been kept alive, and the tournaments are alive and well, that Pokemon still reigns supreme here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. There are better JRPGs out there that people will probably get into a lot more than they would Pokemon, but we're not building those communities as strongly.
No, yeah, I mean, I like JRPGs, but I agree with both of you guys. I think that part of it is, like, people who like JRPGs don't get some of the perks that you would get if you were living in another country, right? Particularly Japan. But I mean, even so, like, Asian countries are provided with a different gameplay experience when it comes to a lot of things.
Yeah. I didn't even want to get into that.
I think when it's like translated over here, I think part of the issue is that it's partly like development and how things are marketed over here, but I also think to some degree it's how it's the cultural gamer view of people who play JRPGs to some degree too. It's, you know, like the JRPG players are like, What's the terminology? It's like the girls who like wish they were Japanese, like a weeaboo.
Kushu girls? I don't
A weeaboo. Like it's yeah, like you have all of this terminology for like people in America who like Japanese culture and stuff, and it's almost like we force JRPGs to not be as accepted in America because of things like this, and that's kind of why they don't spend the money on marketing the games in America the way that they could, or why we don't get the perks that we could, and it's just kind of sad and pathetic.
Yeah.
But no, but what about like my boyfriend was telling me that they gave a Mystic Quest here in America, and it was like a baby version of the one that they gave Japan. And what about, was it Dead or Alive or oh my god, what game was it that they had a character who was like a blonde chick that dressed like an animal, and they're not going to release her in the American version here because she's an American stereotype. She's a weeaboo. She's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl who dresses like a cat. You know, and you know they. I'm sorry, Pixie, you put the cat in your son. I didn't.
I like had to do it. I had to do it.
And people got mad, because that's a stereotype here.
It's
but
all
I
right.
think they should, I think they should deal with it because
I'll claim weeaboo status all day, every day. Don't even care.
I don't even have a problem, with that. It's a cultural thing. It's something that you like, but I don't think that we should be denied something because we're Americans. Or get a baby version of a game because we're Americans. It's.
I wish that they would give us the actual version that they put out in Japan. I mean, even Persona did it. Atlas, I can't remember if it was Persona 1 or Persona 2. There was a character who was Japanese in the game, and when they brought it over to America, they made him African American because they felt that was more Western. And so, that's the sort of stuff we get. We kind of get a downgraded version of the game. I mean, and not necessarily that it's downgraded, just westernized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we can't. Yeah, it's. I don't.
We're not getting the full, I guess, experience of it.
Because it's just there's so much that I feel about it makes me upset. It makes me feel alienated before I even want to get into that whole demographic.
Well, and some of it could be like specifically based on cultural differences.
But maybe I want the experience.
I don't want to go like super out there with this. But sex in America is still very faux pas. Like, shh, we don't do that. So like, hentai is something that is like very controversial in our culture, whereas it's not nearly as controversial over there, and there are some, crazy hentais.
Yeah, but it's like banned in Tokyo. Like, it really depends on where you are. There are anime that we get that they don't get in Tokyo.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, like, I think that boils down to like cultural differences, and I think some of that is like acceptable.
Yeah, and I think that's true as well. I mean, especially coming from that point of view. I mean, we're not ready for all of that. we're not. Trust me. I mean, a mass majority of people over here are not ready for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sorry. I had to go there. It was the only way I could think of to explain it. Alright, so, let's go ahead and let's do our amazing last topic brought to us by Shrivasta.
Oh, it's my turn! So, I'm very, very excited. I had to change hats how excited I am because I have to share with you guys, if you don't know this group out of the UK called This Girl Can, you need to get over on the Twitter and check them out because they just launched a fantabulous campaign that celebrates who women are, no matter how they look, and even if they're sweaty and gross, and they did a video. And I'm going to let Ian run that video so you can get the gist of it, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little bit of conversation before we roll out.